Hawaii the first time I did my internship, and this is basically it's pretty much just how I got to be in Hawaii. It's kind of self-indulgent, but the first topic I had didn't really work, so here I am. Okay, well, Pecha Kucha means chit-chat in Japanese, and as I moved to Hawaii I learned that talk story was kind of the same thing. Blether in Scottish basically means kind of to gossip or to chat, and there's a young me. Obviously I had hair then, and so the topic of my Pecha Kucha is a wee blether. I grew up on a farm in a little town called Arburlet. This is the farm here, although it's changed since I grew up on it, and the village of Arburlet was about half a mile away. There was a town and the kind of the famous dam. All these pictures I've taken as well, apart from that one, which I stole from Google. The town that was close to Arburlet was called Arbroath. It's famous for three things. It's fish which are cooked in a way which is called haddock. The football team, which I'm wearing the top tonight, they hold the world record for the most goals scored ever in a match, which are 36. And the Abbey, which basically was the Declaration of Arbroath was as long as there's 100 Scotsmans alive, English will never rule the world. Well, in Scotland. I went to architecture school at the Robert Gordon University in Aberdeen. My dissertation was all about kind of eco-housing before green was like the kind of the buzzword. These are typical kind of pictures from the architecture of Aberdeen. It's called the Granite City, as you can see why. You've got Starbucks, there's a church that's turned into a bar, and the one on the top right is actually a theatre. The architecture was very Victorian. While I was at university I had the chance to do an internship, so I had the options of travelling anywhere in the world, and sadly I gave up Dolly the sheep for the hula girls of Hawaii. It was a long couple of flights, but I got here unscathed, although I never found my little grass shack. I did my internship for a year and a half with Mason Architects in downtown. This is our office here, the 5th floor of the Staggenwall building. These are some of the projects I worked on in my internship. There was Kamakapili Church in Kalihi, which does all its services still in Native Hawaiian. Doris Duke's Shangri-La at Black Point, and there was a subdivision. Hawaii is obviously very different from Scotland. These are some of the snapshots I took while I was able to travel here. You've got the Pillbox at Lanikai, Diamond Head, Haleakala, and I was fortunate enough to see lava over on the Big Island. After my internship finished, well, really my visa expired, I had to go back to Scotland. So going from, beautiful Honolulu, I went back to rural Scotland, and as you can see there's not much apart from hills and the sheep when they're not chained up in my bedroom. My first job after I graduated university kind of was because I needed money, so I got working with an oil firm. And it was kind of different from architecture because it was all about welding and fabrication. And as soon as you drew something, it was being built in the factory floor the next day. It's not easy to argue with a 6'4" Scottish welder. My next job was with Atkins, who are like one of the third biggest consultants in the world. This was very different because it was very much a business and architecture firm about making money rather than reputation and prestige. While I was at Atkins, Glenn, who's my wonderful boss, asked me if I'd like to come back and work for Mason Architects. I've now been back here for just under 4 years, where I've worked on child development centres to St Philomene's Church over on Kalaupapa on Molokai, which I was very fortunate to travel to. For me, architecture is kind of frustrating because I don't feel I get to use all my creative talents. This was one of the kind of crazy things I did. It was an advent calendar with candid shots I'd taken of everybody in the office with an old historic picture from Habs of our building, and then I printed it out, and every day behind it there was somebody else. I also did the first construction here in Hawaii a few years ago. This was my design. I was team captain. It was called Bringing Home the Bacon, and it was a piggy bank made out of just Vienna sausage cans. It took a lot of blood, sweat and tears, but it fed a lot of homeless people. I also kind of, because architecture is only creative in a certain manner, I started to take more pictures here. This was a guy wiping out the walls in Waikiki. I just caught it right at the moment as his boogie board and him kind of, got nailed really hard. It was kind of a learning curve, and then I had a really weird encounter one night. I was taking pictures of the fireworks at the Hilton Hawaiian Village, and I met this lady, Debbie, who was a photographer and also a fire dancer. So after being seduced by her charm, she asked me if I'd like to take pictures of her, and never, turning down a beautiful woman, I found myself at midnight in Waikiki Beach taking pictures of her dancing with fire, of course. So I kind of got, my photography became fascinated with people. This was another guy, he was a student, I think, at UH, and at the weekends, on Friday nights, he would dance with fire just outside the Hilton Hawaiian Village for free. I just like the kind of flames. A lot of people think that Honolulu doesn't really have a lot to it apart from the tourism, but if you dig a little deeper, there's a lot of really good music and culture hidden away. This was Bari 13 at Next Door, kind of caught in a wonderful pose in midair, and then that's the beautiful aura of the Malcognitos again, another kind of intimate venue at Next Door. Through my photography, I, lucky enough, became friends with another really good bunch of beautiful women. This is Violetta Beretta of the Cherry Blossom Cabaret Burlesque group. That was a candid picture I took from inside the Mercury Bar. And this was Megan Mayhem. I just love the colours. And this are my two little friends. I've loved every minute I've been in Hawaii, and there's actually a lot of similarities between here and Scotland. So aloha, mahalo, and cheers. Thanks very much.